I could put you in the brig for what you've done, but I won't do it.
What the hell's going on out here?
Recording in progress. This is volume 258 of Two Al's One Pod. I'm Al Ducharme, Studio City, California today. And my partner, Al Romas, is on a cruise ship floating outside of an island. Are you at sea? Is it a sea day?
Today is a sea day. This was, I'm on the Liberty, 4-day cruise, Monday to Friday, to Nassau and Coco Cay. The weather started getting rough.
The tiny ship was tossed. If it wasn't for the courage of the fearless crew, the Liberty would be lost.
That's right. We went to Labadee instead. So we got 4-day cruise became a couple of sea days, and Labadee, which I always love that they call it Labadee. It's not Haiti. We're not going to Haiti.
They don't want to say because of stigma.
We're going to Labadee. It's fun. Not Haiti. That would be scary. Haiti, I think Labadee.
I think it's north and east of Port-au-Prince. So Port-au-Prince is where all the shit went down with the election.
Baby Doc. Remember Baby Doc?
Yeah. Refresh my memory, though. I mean,
well, he was a baby doctor, Duvalier, and then he became president, and he was completely corrupt and stole everything from the people.
Mm-hmm.
And then they ran him out of there. Baby Doc had to leave at 2 a.m. and
it was escape. A coup. It was a coup.
It was a coup. It was a coup. I didn't want to say that. Yeah,
coup. Cuckoo.
Look at that. There you go. Well done. Labadee, Labadai. Oh, so yeah, we're headed back to Florida. We're recording this on Thursday. We'll be back in Florida Friday, and then we'll do a 3-day, and then I go home for the Thanksgiving week. Yes, it's the holidays. Can you believe
I'm a little confused because this airs Monday, but you're going home tomorrow.
No, I'm going home on Monday, the day this airs.
Oh, okay. And then you'll be home for the week.
And then that'll be Thanksgiving week. And yeah, can you believe it, man? Thanksgiving and Christmas, New Year's 2024. It's like, Jesus. Wow. I don't know.
Like lightning, it flew by. Unbelievable. Yeah, I know. I'm actually I'm home. I'm actually cooking a turkey dinner with all the fixings for 7 people. So it'll be 8 people here.
Really?
Ducharme Pauly, Casa Ducharme Pauly. Yes.
Do we know anyone
famous?
We know? Or
anyone famous?
Yeah.
Well, George Clooney and his wife, whatever her name is, canceled again, 3rd year in a row.
Yeah.
First year, COVID. I got it. I got it. But,
yeah, she doesn't look like.
No, I think they're all civilians. So Bernie and I are the only comedians. Everybody else is in the non-show business.
Weird.
What are we going to talk about?
What are you going to talk about?
What are we going to bitch and moan about? What gigs are we going to? What club owner are we going to shit on?
After a half hour and some mashed potatoes and casserole, you want to talk about the biz, and these stiffs are going to have nothing. I don't like it.
And I'll tell you what, they're not as curious as they once were about me being a stand-up comedian. Back in the day, we're like, wow, what's that like? You're always in a different place and traveling, and wow, that's hard. It's got to be hard. Now they're like, you got any local shows?
Yeah,
we can go to. You can put us on the guest list because I heard there's some funny comedians playing locally.
Jeez.
You don't want to come see me. You want to see who else is on the bill? Is that what it is?
That might be what it is. Yeah. So you're home though. You're home for that's good. Did you work? I don't remember. Did you work last year Thanksgiving?
I did. I had my Thanksgiving dinner on a ship with a fellow entertainer, and I'm trying to remember. I think it was a magician, and he made the flavor of my stuffing disappear. I'm going to tell you what, they usually nail it on a Thanksgiving dinner on the cruise ships, because I spent many Thanksgivings with my spouse, also solo. But last year it was a swing and a miss. It was subpar, uncharacteristic. Usually they like amp it up because it's a special event, and I don't know if the chef had COVID or if he was banging the captain's wife. I have no idea, but it was
Banging the
not
captain's
good.
wife.
Or they gave the chef a night off and they let Baby Doctor do the cooking.
Baby Doc. I find I always get, I don't do it anymore. I'm trying not to do the holidays. I don't ever really want to do them again, and hopefully it won't. But it was depressing. I'd rather them, I think we've talked about this, I'd rather they didn't try to make it look festive. It seems like it just hurt, it makes it more difficult. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, there's the tree and there's the turkey and there's the thing, and it's like, oh, I'm alone without my family with a fucking magician. You know what I mean? It's more depressing. I'd rather just get a piece of pizza and call it a day.
It is, but at least I was able to commiserate with the magician.
Yeah, now you can be with these civilian stiffs, and that sounds like a hell. I don't know. I wish you luck.
We every other year or so, I'll take a Thanksgiving cruise or a Christmas cruise, and usually Bernadette will go with me or not. And
right.
The ones where she doesn't go with me, it's awful. But I've had a few times when it was a lot of fun, but for the most part, and I do the same thing. It's like, okay, I'm not taking a Christmas or a Thanksgiving, and then they go, it's a 4-day cruise.
Oh, they tempt you.
You're gonna get full pay. They'll pay you for a whole week. It's like, all right.
I know. I know it. You got to stay strong sometimes, but it's hard. I haven't worked well after the Christmas before COVID, or the year before that, even whatever it was when I got separated. I took a Christmas cruise because what the fuck, I'm alone. I'm in an apartment, and I took a Christmas cruise, and I remember I was in Cozumel on Christmas Eve.
Cousin Mel.
On Christmas Eve, and I went from the hotel right next to the hotel, little Mexican restaurant, and I sat there and I was having my Mexican dinner with a big margarita, and I said something to the waiter about cigars, and he goes, "You can smoke here," and I go, "I can smoke while I eat." I in here, and he goes, "Oh yeah, no problem." So I was like, "Holy shit!" So I took a picture of a cigar, a margarita, and a burrito Christmas Eve. And then people are writing like, "Oh man, that's so sad. You know, it's so sad you're not with your." And I'm thinking, "Are you fucking? This is awesome." Like,
I'm not with my ex. I have a cigar and a margarita. It's awesome.
Pretty good. This is pretty good.
The first one was because you were under duress under the circumstances.
Yeah.
So
that was it. That was the last one I did, and but I remember just people going like, "Oh, it's so sad," and I'm like, it's not bad. I got to be honest. This isn't bad right now. But on the ship for the holidays alone, it's a little tough. It can be tough. So I'd rather just motor through like in the Navy. If you go, they don't do anything. You just work, and then there's nothing. There's not even a fucking decoration. They don't, just keep working, asshole.
I'll tell you the circumstances this year for me for Christmas. I took 3 weeks off from the road, although I'm doing some local gigs here down in Palm Springs and whatnot, which is 2.5 hour drives. But a friend of ours has a house down there, so it works out. They said, "Hey, do you want to sail? There's a ship out of San Pedro, which is 1 hour away. 3 days cruise, 3-day cruise, full pay. Do you want to do it?" I'm like, yeah, December 26th. I go, "Honey, December 26th, day after Christmas." Yeah. I go, "Do you want to go?" She goes, "I don't know, maybe." Well, she had been on a couple of cruises already this year. Yeah. They get back to me. They go, "We have to fly you to Puerto Vallarta."
I knew there was a rub coming.
Christmas morning. All done. Contracts signed, everything. Done deal. I'm leaving Christmas morning. So I talked to Bernie and she says, go ahead, do it. We'll celebrate Christmas Eve, blah, blah, blah. And she's picking me up an hour away when I get off the ship, but I have to fly a day before the cruise. So the 3-day turns into 4 days, and I'm leaving Christmas morning. And I really had to bite my tongue and my fingertips with the emails because I was pissed. Yeah.
I would have. The only thing with that is, and I would have been, I don't think I would have known, but I would have assumed you're leaving a day early. There's almost always now
I
with
think
anything.
I think the error was I assumed the ship was out of San Pedro. I was leaving out of San Pedro, so it was a little convoluted.
No,
and when I did get the contract, I didn't even look at it. I just went on my phone signing a contract. I'm like, oh yeah, here we go.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, I guess they're flying me the morning of.
So you're going to be, what time are you going to be at the airport on Christmas Day?
9 a.m. flight. And then they said, tell us where you want to travel from. I said LAX to Puerto Vallarta, which is a 3-hour flight. And I said, I want this flight. And our travel person, who we love and adore, Laura, said, I will request it, but no guarantees. I said, no. It's Christmas Day.
Why do we love it? She doesn't. I mean, all she does is cut and paste.
Silence! I'm going to edit this out.
She cut and paste. That's all she does.
She corrals and organizes, and I need that. You're more organized than I am, so shut the fuck up. Anyways, listen.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
She's not that great.
I'm always producing your fucking podcast. I'm scattered. Anyways, listen. So I said, I will book it myself and they can reimburse me. And she says, I'll request it, but don't book it yet. It was $283. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking book this thing. I'm going to fucking book this thing. She gets back to me a few days later. I go, watch it be $500 now. She says, okay, they gave you permission. Go ahead. So I go to book it. It drops down to $199.
Wow.
So they're going to reimburse me the full amount. But
yeah,
I'm going to fly in my airline. The plane is empty, so I'll probably fly down first class.
All right. Well,
back. So
it sucks, but I would have done it 3 days. I would have probably taken it, I guess. But that's
3-day cruise. Driving to the thing, or even if I was going to Ensenada, I think I had in my head it was going to Ensenada, and I'm like, well,
but
that's
we always
morning of.
If you get the offer for the 3-day, it's a 4-day. You're overnighting with everything now.
Yeah,
I mean, literally everything.
Yeah,
if I fly Tampa to Fort Lauderdale, I have to overnight. I can drive there the day of the cruise, but if they book me on a flight, if I say I don't want to drive, I want to fly, has to overnight then. That's their policy, even though I'm in the same state. That's why I drive all the time. I'm like, it's crazy.
I had to black out on my calendar the day after the cruise because I put in for New Year's Eve as well. But I knew there's a 50% chance they were going to try to extend my 3-day cruise into a full week because it's 3 and 4 day cruises on that ship.
Yeah. What ship is that?
Voyager, is it? Voyager.
Oh. I'm on the Liberty. This is 3 and 4 day right now.
I like that Liberty ship. Is that out of Galveston? No, you're doing Carib. I like it. I like Liberty out of Galveston. I don't even know if it's there anymore.
It was out of Bayonne all year. I don't know about. It hasn't been a Galveston in a while.
Okay. You know why? Because they moved the big ships there now too. They built that whole new dock. Have you seen that? The pier
in Galveston?
Yeah, it's a whole new place. It's not downtown. It's not as convenient.
I know.
It's further out.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I like the old one, and there was a cool cigar shop walking distance to the old one, and it was a good shop. It had hand rolled, and other stuff, but comfortable chairs, very nice. And now, of course, we're not there. So
Yeah,
what are you gonna
I liked walking off and going to I had all my places that I would go to, my sports bar if I was there on a Sunday. And it was
Yep.
a fucking ghost town. A Sunday morning
I know.
in Galveston is a ghost town, and the streets are all still, there's like debris because they're cleaning up
Yeah,
from the night before. It's a big party town on
it's
Saturday
big, I
night.
guess. And I would watch football at that sports bar. Also, Fuddruckers
Mhm.
would be packed by one. You get in there at 11:30, it's empty. 1 o'clock, it'd be full.
Yep.
Everybody's watching football. Let me run this by you. I did a welcome show the other night. I got on board. Welcome aboard. Go out on stage, house completely lit. It looked like it was a sunny day at 2 p.m. Would you say something from the stage?
I have.
You have, or would you
Mhm.
just? I went through with my set with it lit up and it sucked. The whole thing didn't work. I should have said, "Dim those lights, please. Can we go a little darker?"
Yeah, I've said, hey, what is this? An OR? Can we dim the lights? I can see what I'm doing. And they have, and I say dim, and then they shut them off completely. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, just bring them up a little bit, just a little bit, so I can see. And they can't, for some reason, I don't know what it is. I think it's buttons. They're preset for other shows.
Maybe.
So instead of doing it manually, they just hit a button because they're lazy.
Yeah. So I had late night comedy last night, 11:15. By the way, that was the toughest thing. To stay awake and just sit around till 11:15 was like fucking torture. I'm like, what are we doing here? But 11:15.
Oh, short cruise. It's a booze cruise. That's why. They stay up.
So I talked to the production manager and I go, hey, can we get the house lights dark for the show? He's like, oh yeah, yep. I go, okay. And then I look out the curtain and they're lit. And I go, is it gonna get dark though? You're gonna
Oh yeah.
He goes, oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm like, well, why isn't it set up dark now? It looks better anyway with the spot.
Oh, because the cruise director likes it bright.
So I go, okay. So 11:15, cruise director goes out, blah, blah, blah. I walk out completely fucking lit up. So I'm like on stage. So now I'm like, guys, we need to lower the lights a bit.
Yeah, you have to say it.
We're gonna, and nothing's happening. And now I'm like doing the Steve Martin bit when he's like, can I get a blue spot? Remember? And they don't do anything. He's like,
he goes, thank
perfect. Thank you. Perfect. So I'm just standing there like, can you make it?
I've done that line many times.
And nothing's happening. And the audience is laughing because it's like so dumb. And I'm like, thanks a lot. That was perfect. Great. Mm-hmm. And then 2 minutes later, so I think it is it's got to be preset. And then it takes time.
And they have it. No. And the person that all you got to do is push these buttons and the fucking guy walks away, or he's doing another show, or he's in the crew bar, and they let the apprentice or whoever, the newbie, handle it. And they're like, call Damien, tell him the comedian wants to change the light.
Yeah.
And they'll say it's all preset. Yeah.
Damien's doing Jaeger in the fucking crew bar.
By the way.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I'm showing you my breast.
Oh, you're like Jim Carrey in Cable Guy. Remember that he does the Midnight Express thing?
I love that movie. It's hysterical.
I think when it's all said and done, that when in 50 years, 100 years, that one might be looked at as his best film.
Oh
yeah. In 100 years, when we have time to digest it, I think people will look back and go,
well, it's the chemistry of Matthew Broderick doing the deadpan and being all nervous.
And there's a lot of funny stuff with Ben Stiller playing the Menendez brothers. And that's hilarious. That whole thing could have been that was hilarious. And why is that even in the movie? It makes no sense. It has nothing to do with
because it was huge when the movie
I
came
know.
Out. Yeah,
but it has nothing to do with the Cable Guy or Jim Carrey. Nothing. It's just here we go.
Just overload it with ridiculous, over the top shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And then by the way, that welcome show, all lit up, the audience. I haven't done clean comedy in a year. And I walk out and there's 4 girls to the right. That's a Sweet 16 party. And there's a little girl to the left wearing a tiara and a sash.
Wow, yeah.
She's 10.
She's okay.
She's like 10.
That's like, yeah,
She's a princess and she's 10.
yeah.
And it's like, I'm a grown man who does adult comedy. I got nothing. So this, this
Well,
gonna be
you're
a long
spoiled.
30.
You're spoiled. You're a
I am
darling
very
of the cruise line, and they give you all the best
darling
scripts,
of the cruise
lineups.
line.
Yes, they give you the best shows, and you've been 1 year. You were doing just your adult show for 1 year, and then all of a sudden
But
they throw you. Now you know what I go through. You got to
well, I was
fucking
flying to
switch it up.
Bayonne.
The
I
Welcome
don't know how
Aboard family
darling-
show is hit or miss.
Dude,
Did you do one or two Welcome Aboards? Yeah, it should be only one.
Yeah.
These last two ships, these motherfuckers are doing two, so I have two small crowds. And everybody's the second show, they're zombies. They're like,
yeah. And by the way, I spent the whole summer and fall flying to Newark. I don't think I'm any darling. You know what I mean? I live in Florida, and I flew to New Jersey all fall
well,
and summer.
someone in the office doesn't like you. It's just one person, though. All right, fine. You want to give them the good ships? We're going to put them in Bayonne.
Yeah,
They didn't even switch you up. They
Bayonne.
didn't even like do a month there and a month somewhere else.
No, I did the whole summer fall in Bayonne.
I know.
That was the only ship I
no
did.
one summers in Bayonne, by the way.
I do. I vacation in Bayonne. I like to.
Here's the thing.
Oh man,
You're in Bayonne. You're not even in Bayonne. You're in the old naval dock area that's under Bayonne proper, but the downtown area is.
Well, I would Uber to the Broadway diner.
The strip mall, yeah.
I would Uber to the Broadway diner, and then I would sit there for 2.5 hours with coffee, milk it, and then I would walk 1.5 miles back and then I go to the cigar place, buy some cigars from this guy, hang out there, and then Uber to the ship.
If he was open, that's the guy who would. It said open at 10 a.m. You're there at 11:15, and the guy pulls up in his Mercedes. And you're like, "Are you open?" Yeah, I open.
Open. Yeah, well, that's the guy I've talked about. He uses his cell phone as his business phone, and he answers it at home. And I go, "You open?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Is the store open right now?" He goes, "No, I will be there." When? I will be there when I open. Like, what the fuck's that? Dude, I want to buy something.
He opens it for the one person, you getting off the ship.
I've been in that store 15 times. I've never seen anyone else in there.
It's a front, or he's really only open 3 days a week, and he just says he's open the rest of the time.
Oh, it's a front. I mean, the thing is filthy. You could run your finger. It's all this much dust, and he doesn't care, So I just buy a couple of the hand rolls, and sometimes I'll sit there and go, "Can I sit here and have one and kill time?" Because you don't want to go back to the ship at 12 o'clock. It's packed. I mean, it's crazy. So I'll do 2 hours and then get over to the ship. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Hey, let me run this by you.
Oh,
I was looking at. Are you on Twitter? Do you do much tweeting? Are you involved with the Twitter?
I have a Twitter account, and I tend to copy and paste. But I'm a boring old guy. I use mostly Facebook because that's where I get most of my interactions. I do Instagram.
Right.
I have a TikTok app on my phone, but I'm not on TikTok. But I know that 2 L's 1 Pod is on there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just after I do this podcast and edit and upload and download and share, I just want to step away.
I hear you. Well, we used to be comedians. Now you have to have all these other jobs, the social media and all these things you got to do now besides trying to find work and write a joke. And, it's hard. But I was looking at something the other day on Twitter or X. It's called X now. Not even Twitter. But did I ever tell? I know I may have told this already. And if I did, then fuck it. But did I ever tell you that story or did I do it on the podcast when I was on Twitter years ago and Mark Maron and I got into a thing? Do we know that story on the podcast?
Well, I think it's worth retelling because the people that are listening for the first time today or are new Patreon members, welcome new Patreon members. If you'd like to support our podcast, help out, please go to patreon.com/2owls1pod. Tell
Yeah,
us
we got 2 people on Patreon who lurk. I don't know how that works. They're not really members, paying members, but they're on the site as like they can look in at shit. I don't really get how that works. I thought you have to pay to see anything.
I think they're not able to.
I don't know what they can do for free.
I think
I don't know.
they can look and decide to join. I think they went there and they went join and $5 a month, and they went, oh, they went through first step of following, but not.
Oh.
I think because they changed the format, the platform.
I was backstage the night of the welcome aboard. I filmed some stuff. I put it on the Patreon. Backstage, you can see the liberty of the seas and see what we do. We just stand there and wait. That's basically what we do before a show. We just wait, and that's it. But here's the little. If you heard this already, chime in. But years ago, maybe 8 years ago, let's say 8 years ago, Twitter's kind of new and it's popping. And so I go to dinner and I drank a lot of wine. So I had a lot of wine. Yeah. Back in the day, sir. Back in the day, I would enjoy the alcohol. So I come home and I'm out on my patio and I light up a big old cigar and I have some more wine because that's, you need more. You got to continue, Can't just be drunk. Got to be like fucking inebriated. So I open up the old Twitter, which is kind of a newish thing. And I'm like, oh, and Mark Maron tweets, I'm kind of hungry. Should I have some ice cream? That was the tweet. And this is years ago. So it was more like I went to Twitter for news and or something interesting from someone I follow. And I'm half in the bag and I'm, annoyed about life or whatever. And I just wrote, who gives a fuck? Eat ice cream or not. Nobody gives a shit, and that's, and I sent it off. Never thought about it. Had finished the cigar, went to bed. And then the next morning, I turned on my phone and it was like moving on the bureau and it was melting. It was fucking going insane.
Vibration mode.
Exactly. And then I'm looking, I have, whatever, I have crazy amount of texts. And the first one was Pat Godwin. And Pat just wrote, what the fuck happened last night? And I'm like, Pat, I haven't seen Pat. I don't know what happened. So I'm like, what? That's weird. So the next one, same thing, kind of like, Jesus, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. I don't, because I've completely forgotten about that dumb tweet. And no one's referencing it. So all the texts are like, dude, that's unbelievable. What the fuck? I'm like, I don't know what's happening. So then I get another one, a couple down, and then somebody wrote, Maron's minions really went after you. And I go, Maron's minions. And then I look at Twitter. Ooh. Oh boy. It was ugly, man. It was ugly. Ugly. Because I had a website at the time. And all my dates were just ships and not just ships, but some comedy clubs and
no major theaters or anything like that. Yeah.
These fuckers that follow him saw my tweet and then he responded and he wrote, hey, we're both comics. Why are you an asshole? And I never responded. And then everybody just started going, he's a fucking piece of shit. He's a hack. Fuck him.
He's a shit.
And it was getting brutal, man. Brutal. So I turned off the phone. I was like, I don't even. My God. And then a few hours later, Maron posted something on there. And it was like, because he was even like, hey, he goes, hey, this guy's a comic and blah, blah, blah. And then he wrote to me a DM and he said, hey, I don't know what's up with you, or I don't even know you, but, I think we've met. Why would you? And I go, dude, I'm so sorry. I go, I was drunk. I was just trying to be funny. It came across as mean, And he goes, dude, I'm sorry about my fucking people are, really killing you. I go, is there a way to turn them off? Can you do something? And then he wrote something like, hey, leave this guy alone. He's a good guy, whatever. But that was fucking, I've never done that since, man. Because it's like you think you're just sitting home sending something into the ether, and you piss off a guy with 1 million fans, they are coming for your ass.
I've pissed off a couple of people with no fan base, but I got the private thing. Ba-bam, 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 ba-bam. I'm like, oh, I thought you were comics. I thought we were fucking around. I've been like this with you in person, but they're afraid of the public, seeing it.
That doesn't always. I've used that line of, "Hey, we're comics." That doesn't always work.
No,
we're comics. Come on,
getting pulled over by the cops. We're the comedians. Whoop, whoop. We're the comedians.
Wasn't that a comedian joke where the comedians die, go to heaven, and they're behind a couple people, and Peter at the gates, like, all right, come in, you let a good life come in. And he goes, who are you guys? And the guy's like, we're the comics.
Yes, I think so. That's the gist of it. And those of you that are not in the know, that's what comics would always say. We're the comics. Whenever we went to a small town, and
we're not supposed to pay for anything for some reason.
We get everything free. Everything's free. We tell dick jokes. We drove 4 hours to get here. We're the comics.
Yeah, we're the comics.
We're the biggest thing that's happened to this town.
That's right.
In 3 years.
Yeah, long line at the after hours club. We're the comics. The guy's like,
who? What? We did the comedy show of the Holiday Inn.
You may have heard of it. Yeah, we rocked it tonight. Hey, you know what?
It's time for questions.
Whoa!
It's that time of the month. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Bring it.
We do these questions, folks. If you want to ask us a question, ask away. This is interesting, Alfred. This is interesting. We have 2 questions, and I put it on Instagram. I said, ask us a question in a little box, and people do. But I feel like this might be an AI jumping in, maybe a bot of some kind. It doesn't sound human to me.
So wasn't bot AI already? Pre-programmed to search? Isn't that what AI is?
I don't know if a bot can learn.
It's pre-programmed, whereas the AI can learn and change.
They're here to kill us. You know that. As long as you know that.
I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. Hal, open the door, Hal. I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave.
If you make it to the end of our podcast, I think you can hear that. If anyone knows.
And also, pussy galore. I must be dreaming. That's the latest
one. So here we go. This is someone. The name is TV Dinners. TV Dinners.
TV Dinners.
Here's the first question from TV Dinners. Now tell me if this sounds human in any way. I'm reading it exactly. Which contemporary phenomena should never be the subject of comedic performance? What is that? Fucking 18th century Shakespearean actor popping in? And who talks this way?
No one talks this way. People type that way. People type that way, and they look up definitions and phrasing and grammar to pose a question. First of all, thank you. Thank you for your question, and we're not shitting on you.
No, I'm just I question whether the TV Dinners.
Well, first of all, TV Dinners is the handle of the person that they use on this particular social media platform. Is there a real name underneath? We don't have to reveal it. No,
just TV Dinners.
So that may be AI. You're right. So if you are AI, then we can shit on you as much as possible. If you're not AI and you're a real human being, thank you for your question.
There you go. Well, so let's see. Which contemporary phenomenon should never be the subject of comedic performances? Well, offhand, I got to go, unless you can do a killer impression or something, but I think old Donald Trump just throwing the name out there kind of fucking kills the room and what you're doing, unless you got some good take or an impression. But I think just that name alone separates everything and fucks everything up. So
are we talking about as comedians on stage versus offstage conversation. Okay.
Well, it says
Simeon.
should never be the subject of comedic performance.
Okay, so Simeon Hercules does a very funny Donald Trump and kills, and I truly believe that both sides of the aisle are howling at it, left and right.
Yeah,
But then there's another comedian who I will not mention by name, who was back in 2016 and 2017 taking a real hard political stance in certain parts of the globe where it was heavy Trump supporters, and getting into it with audience members and stopping the comedy show and turning it into an argument. So you're there to do a job, to make people laugh. And
did I get a gig from that guy that you're speaking of? Do you remember? Do you remember a few years ago there was a guy in Naples, Florida, and he got fired after the Friday. The police were called. There was a fight in the club.
I'm not quite sure if it was the same person.
I got the Saturday and Sunday because he got on.
It may have been,
but he was talking about Trump, and he divided the room, and then he had the room fight each other. He was like ridiculous. Encouraging it. It was crazy.
You know, if you want to forfeit your paycheck, then go right ahead. You know, I'm not saying don't use your platform for your beliefs and all that, but
I use mine for good.
That's not what you signed up for. You know what I mean? When you get to the Carlin level, then you can do whatever you want. You know, you have people that are coming out on a weekend many of them to forget about daily issues and
forget about life for a while.
So go up there, do your job, make them laugh, be self-deprecating, and if you're going to poke fun, equal opportunity in this situation.
Hey, I mean, Carlin would do that, but he would also do, pussy fart jokes. So a lot of these guys forget that. They go, well, Carlin would, and you're like, he still had dumb shit. He had fart jokes. I mean,
stick it in there.
He knew, okay, if I do 10 minutes of this, I better give him some fart jokes or, he was always a comic where I think people look back, they don't know him that well. And they're like, well, George Carlin would, I'm like, nah, he didn't pontificate like that. He always had jokes. So what would your answer be there, Alfredo? Contemporary phenomenon should never be the subject of comedic performances.
Well, then you start getting into freedom of speech too. So if you want to go down that road. So I did. I think it's up to the comedian to be smart and responsible. And
so you say no rules.
I'm saying no rules, but use discretion. Your job is to get up there, entertain, make everyone in the room laugh. You're not going to get everyone, but if you're getting 80 to 90% of the crowd a majority of the time, then you've definitely you're above average.
I look at it like baseball. I mean, if you hit 300, you're in the Hall of Fame. And if you do 10 shows and you go 5-5, it's not good, but it's 500, which is pretty good. It just shows you how hard stand-up is in the sense of you're going to go up in front of all these strange 90-year-old, 20-year-old, 40-year-old, make them all laugh. It's crazy. The idea of that is insane. So if you do 10 and you get 5 great ones and 5, they're pretty good. It's a home run, but we don't look at it that way. No. In our brains, we'd be like, that was a shitty week.
Well, yeah, the comedians, we could have 6 months of nonstop. This is it. I'm going to bust through. I'm fucking killing it. And then you have that one show where it's just like, and then you start going, well, the sound was messed up. The lighting was messed up. They had a welcome aboard show.
That was me.
You've been having these high caliber comedy club sets. I had that. And you're like, I got this. I can do this in my sleep. And all of a sudden, a year later, they go, okay, this is the old way. Get up there and do 30 minutes.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. Welcome aboard. My fucking cruise director did 2 welcome aboards, and he had the staff come up and he introduced them all, and they all grabbed the microphone and said what they did. And they all trying to make a little joke. and it was sappy. And I'm like, this is a fucking nightmare. This is a disaster.
And how
And they
much time do you have to do?
They wanted me to do 30 to 35. They said 30, 35. When do you want us to give you the light? I said 25.
Yeah.
Boom.
Exactly.
Then I know that 5 minutes left. And then I know, oh, they had me do 3 separate shows.
Oh, that was the week with Preston,
Yeah.
right?
They wanted an hour and 35 minutes from the comedian, and they had 2 other headliner acts on board, and one of them was the comedy team, Mario and
oh yeah, right.
I'm like, what are you guys doing? And Mario and Daniel went out for 50 minutes, 2 shows, same material, and destroyed. They were celebrities. People are coming up.
They're great.
Yeah. So then,
but we get
and then Al's on tomorrow night.
But you get too watered down. They saw Mario and Daniel once.
Their best.
The best of the best they've got, and they're going to see you 3 times. By the time that third one, you're circling the drain. What do you got? You're out of shit. So it's not fair. But
so I got them down to an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Mr. Preston stepped up and did 2 songs.
But I mean, the comedy club format, you work 6 nights, but the sets are shorter. They're adult. They're more fun.
They're free.
It's a lot. Whereas this is like,
I mean,
you
you're
can
free.
have yeah. Where this you have nights off, but the shows themselves are not. Like, I had a great last night was fun. Night was great, fun, but that welcome, and then I had to think to myself, that's all I did for years. Welcome aboard and late night, but when you haven't done it in a while, it's it was tough.
And at the risk of tooting my own horn, I'm going to say this: sometimes when I do those welcome aboard shows, and it's like walking through mud, because it's a travel day. From most of them flew in, hotels and luggage, and they've been planning this trip for 2 years, and they're just like, and they're looking around like, where am I? It's all that, and that's your job. You have to attack that. And I often find that if I'm on a few nights later or towards the end of the cruise, depending on the lineup, this is not a dig at the other entertainment, depending on what kind of entertainment, whether it's the pianist, the cellist, whatever, who has a headlining show, they are looking forward to seeing the comedian again, because they realize how good you were.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
that's
happened numerous times. I'm not giving myself. So all of a sudden, my show is packed.
Very true.
And the cruise director saying, "Hey, they're like, when's the comedian on? Going, when's the comedian on?" So I'm going to add another show, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, but no, you're right. You're right. And those other shows can be fine and all, but they're all rather a little dull and whatever, old schooly. And so, yeah, the idea of a comedian doing his late night show, it appeals to people. I'm always amazed. Like, I didn't even like my welcome. And then I was out yesterday, had the hat on, sunglasses, when you have a show you don't like, you kind of I got to get, go get my lunch and try not to be fucking seen here. But I had people coming up and going, "Hey, we really like that. When is your adult show?" And I'm like, first of all, I can't believe you can spot me. Secondly, I can't believe you like that. So you never know. You know what I mean? It's always, we're wrong when we guess about the crowd's going to be good or bad. We're always wrong. And we're wrong about that. It's in your head or the idea of,
if you're on a tear and you're having these 9s and 10s in your mind, and all of a sudden you have a 7, and the audience is like, wow, that guy was great. When is he going to be around again?
I think from my head, it was the lights were on, and then the 10-year-old birthday girl. Like, I don't want to deal with her. You know what I mean? But I did, and it's cute, whatever. But what are we doing? We're adult comedians. I don't want to be on stage talking to a 10-year-old. You know what I mean? That's not what we do.
Well, not unless you have your candy with you.
Hey, now. Hey, we got another
question.
My man, the machine, whatever, the bot, the TV dinners. Did we answer that? I answered Trump. Did you answer TV dinners question? What cultural phenomenon should not be discussed?
I gave a convoluted response.
I didn't care for it. I didn't care for it.
Well, I mean, just don't bring up Gaza Strip. Right.
Yeah, well, I told my girlfriend I want that shaved, but she hasn't done it yet. All right.
Hello. You went blue. You pulled an Al Ducharme. Uncharacteristic. All right, go ahead.
Al Ducharme hadn't gone blue yet, so I had to jump in. Someone had to blue this thing up a little bit. You know what I mean? Let's blow it up. Let's blow it up. Second question from TV dinners. Do either of you like to work in long story form? These are real people questions, huh?
Long story form. Well, I do vignettes, so I already fall into that category. I'm not a one-liner person. I'm a comic. I tend to set it all up, and then I orchestrate it, act it out, and bring different layers of characters, voices, some physical humor. So mine is already kind of long.
That was that's quite a description for your act. I've seen your act. I never would put it that. That was quite a bill. That was quite a description. Holy shit! Wow.
I have fans.
I'm sure you do, but
I'm one on each side of my desk. Keeps me cool.
You built. That was quite a descriptive way to state, what you do on stage. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? But I think long story more? Isn't this AI bot talking about instead of joke, but a story where you have?
Well, isn't Nate Bargatze the low energy, long story subject matter, telling a story about?
I think of Segura. I'm thinking of like Tom Segura, but the story. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, you do that sort of with some of your bits.
Well, vignettes is where I went with mine. Vignettes. But those guys do the. Nate Bargatze talks about how his wife is the man of the house, and some guy showed up to the house, and he said, "Hey, I'm here to replace the hot water heater," and he's like, "Oh, I didn't even know we had a hot water heater."
Right.
He's like, "Oh," and he goes, "Okay, great, go ahead, replace it, I guess." And he's like, "Well, where is it?" And he goes, "I'm thinking, this guy does this for a living. Why wouldn't he know with a hot water heater?
Right.
Why is he asking me? I didn't even know we had one." And, so it's a long drawn out story about his ineptness and his wife being, running the house. He goes, "I come home after 2 weeks," and she goes, "What do you think of the new roof?" "New roof?" She goes, "Yeah, we got a new roof." He's like, "I didn't know you could replace a roof. What was wrong with the old roof?"
Right.
And it's just his deadpan puppy eye. It's hysterical. And it's just a long-winded, slow story that every line you want to hear it. And he's on fire right now. He's been killing it for a decade, but the last couple of years he's different.
Like he started with, Norman and those guys in New York. And I was looking at some video, and you see him. I mean, but he still had that style, even as a young drunk in New York. But he got married, moved to Tennessee, and I mean, he was hosting SNL. I mean, this guy's at a level now that you go,
this is his year. This is his year because he did some big concerts. Netflix, his second Netflix.
He's doing arenas.
Yeah.
But for an unknown comic to host Saturday Night Live is pretty amazing. Because he really is unknown in that way of America with, they need a sitcom to know who you are. Or
SNL has always done the hottest comedian will host. Steve Martin's
it's been a long time.
Wild and Crazy Guy, best-selling album at the time when they had albums. And then Dane Cook did it. When Dane Cook had
But I'm saying it's been a long time since Dane Cook.
Yeah. No, it's been
to have a comic.
18 years or something crazy like that.
I mean, to have because I know there's a lot, even huge. There were still a lot of people tuning in to SNL going, "Who is this guy?" It shows you how big the world is, where you can sell at arenas and yet people don't know who you are. Like Bert Kreischer sells out an arena. The average Joe who goes to work, he doesn't know who he is.
No.
But he's big. He's huge.
Yeah, he's got a following. He's got a building.
But it shows you there's a different level where if you have a TV show called Roseanne or Seinfeld,
sure,
that's ridiculous. You're never going to not be known, you know?
Yeah. Well,
so
Bargatze, I really enjoy him. You know, I remember when he was barking for, to get people in seats in the clubs in New York. And I never paid much attention to him. You know, he was just another white dude.
How would you?
Going up there telling stories. But I remember him in the periphery.
Yeah.
And I was already established. So I was like running in and out of the clubs. But he was like working it, man. Him and Norman and those guys were fucking hammering away at the scene, you know, making a splash, but not making a splash, putting in the time.
Yeah.
And being pole vaulted many years later into the
what was it? I don't know much about it. Like, what was it that broke him? Do you know? Was it just the specials? Because he's got like 10 specials.
If you look the past decade, it's Comedy Central, whatever those things. He's kind of the same guy, just a little grayer, white hair, whatever. And
yeah,
he had such a baby face.
He looks better now than he did 20 years ago because he lost weight.
He lost weight and
got a trainer and
he moved back to Tennessee. He was from there, and his father's a magician.
Yeah,
a road magician. Yeah,
he's the opening act. But it's funny, like when you see those old photos and video, he doesn't look like Nate doesn't look like he belongs in New York with these, degenerates. He looks like a guy who's like, I bet I should be with a wife and children and have a nice life. You know what I mean? Even recently on Norman's podcast, and there's a great little moment, and Norman farts, on air, of course. And Nate looks at him, and they freeze the picture in the video. Nate looks at him like with fucking disgust, like, what the fuck, man? Come on. And Norman looks at him like, oh, this isn't funny anymore to you? And there's that real little moment of like,
dude, I have kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up a little. And you can see it, man. It's all there.
Well, also, Bargatze is now leapfrogged those guys. He's on that next level. So he's like, this is his breakthrough year, even though that he's been popping for a decade.
Yeah.
Dude, I watched those clips, 6-minute clips of him, and
they're
I'm
funny.
fucking howling.
Now Kelly sends me them. She's a fan. She likes it. I like him. I think he's a good comic, obviously. I just that style, I get a little bored.
Well, even like Billy says, you got to have energy. You got to have a lot of energy when you're up there. And people go, well, what about Stephen Wright? And what about, Bargatze? And it's like,
right.
They're the exception. You don't need that when you come out of the gate. People are there.
If you got great jokes, like Hedberg, Stephen Wright, you can just take your time. And if you don't have great jokes then you better, move around a little bit.
They're there to see you at that level. They're coming to see you. Now, that's why Brian Regan said, when my audience comes to see me, it's a lot of fun. But when I just go somewhere and go on stage, that's not my audience. People are like, who is this guy? And it's like, it's a different. He goes, I don't even want to go on stage.
But
that's smart. Why would you want? Because his style is very specific.
Right. Well, he must have. It's hard to picture him in New York in those late night spots with those crowds, just doing that simple kind of Southern.
I've always been a fan of his. We worked one time in Reno many years ago, and then he did the Montreal Comedy Festival. I was on New Faces, and he was already established. He had just won, I think, Comedian of the Year in the States, and then he went up there and didn't do well, and he got a scathing review from one of the local comedy writers, and he had to go out there in public again the next day, and everybody's going, oh, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about, you're great. But it was just, he was Brian Regan, who is hysterically funny, not his audience. And they're like, what? They couldn't make that connection with him because that's a very specific kind of humor.
Yeah, but that's what's crazy what we do. Because you're saying, welcome aboard, go do 30 minutes, make them all laugh. Who are these people? I mean, literally, they're from all over the world.
All ages. The girl
All
with the tiara, you said the little girl. I've had the front row where they say we have no children, no one under 15 or 13, 16, whatever it is, in the first two rows. And I've gone out, I walked out, introduced, and all of a sudden there's a row of 10 girls all in, princess outfits and wands and fucking running around. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? It's like, what am I going to do?
There are no real rules.
And I do the joke. I go, oh, wow, this is going to be a lot of fun. Yay. I go, does anybody have any NyQuil? Right. And then I get the parents that are howling. And then the parents are going, ooh, like, I'm not going to give your kid NyQuil. I'm making a joke that you shouldn't have your kids in the front rows and you're sitting in the back of the theater and you think it's cute.
Well, there's no real rules because the crews, they won't tell them anything. It's like they won't say to you, though, those kids have to be with you.
Because they don't want to piss off the customer.
That's right. That's right.
But then they're going to give you a grade on your performance.
That's right. That's right. Well, the little girl who was 10, her sister was next to her. So I'm like, trying for anything. And I'm like, oh, is that your sister? And she goes, yeah, that's Zazaby. And I'm like, I couldn't hear the name. So I go, I'm sorry, what was your name? And it goes, Zazaby. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. And I'm kind of like, because people are laughing because it's like, what the fuck? So I go, I didn't hear your name. Can you say it one more time? And then this Karen in the front row goes, don't make fun of her name. And I go, I'm looking at her and I whisper, I go, I'm not making fun of her name. I'm trying to hear it. And she goes, they don't need to make fun of her.
Move on. Like, you ever get that one? Yeah, I've been in that exact same scenario.
I'm not making fun. I'm trying to hear her name.
And then I go after the Karen and make fun of the Karen.
Ugh. And it's a welcome with all the lights on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now 15 minutes in and it's not going great. It's just like, this is the worst. So the next day I was off. And then yesterday I was like, I'm going to go up and I got to redeem myself. I
already got the email. Hey, just in case, are you available to cover Al's dates?
You said, no, I'm driving an hour and a half with my wife. I'm leaving on Christmas Day at fucking 5 a.m.
Oh my God. I got Rook. I can't blame. It was like a smoke screen. Hey, are you available to do a cruise out of San Pedro? They didn't. I'm like, yeah, because I've done a bunch of them. And I'm like, yeah, San Pedro, send me those cruises. Because I drive to them. But that particular one, it was kind of smoke screeny.
A little shady.
But I should have learned many times, look at the itinerary.
I know.
What's going on? I just went automatic. Oh, yeah, San Pedro. Yeah, San Pedro.
Well, you get excited, too, when you see 2 or 3 days full pay. Fuck yeah.
1 hour. Full pay. Honey, do you want to go? Yeah, we'll go. She comes with me.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I'm gonna take what are you
doing? Are you doing the Elvis remake of Elvis? You got the hair going.
I need a haircut, dude. I got a lot of hair going on.
Dude, I'm a little jealous of your mane.
I'm getting a haircut Monday when I get back. But it goes.
Does Kelly cut your hair?
Just my downstairs, but
wow, he went blue again. She listens to the whole podcast.
Clip.
Is that a clip?
Got a clip. Yeah, I forget what I was saying, but yeah, I need a haircut. So yeah. But we'll be thinking of you, man. Christmas morning when I'm in bed after I make sweet love and sip my coffee with and open my gifts. I'm going to be thinking about you, dude.
So you're gonna open the box before you open any boxes.
All right, I see what he's doing.
I think that's the end of the pod.
No, I'm saying I'm going to be thinking about you Christmas morning after I make sweet love, drink my coffee, open my gifts, and I'm going to think about Alfredo.
So you're going to open your box, and then you're going to open your boxes. We got a clip. Nothing from you.
I gave you a face.
So long, man. Have a good trip.
You.
Iceberg dead ahead. Don't forget to review us and rate us. It really helps.
The Talking Dicks became friends at a very young age, and the rest is history.
I'm losing my mind.
Patreon.com/The Two Dicks, which is named after our web series. This is the Two Owls, One Pod podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Done.
I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
We'll fix it in post, you son of a bitch.
Okay, sure.
All right. Subscribe. Mary. This was a horrible mistake.
Go to patreon.com/forward the two dicks.
If you shoot me, you won't see a cent of that money. Why?
I think it ends on that. That's beautiful.